In November of 2004, the Wilson family lived at 10 Crescent Road, a Victorian villa in a seaside town in the Scottish Highlands, just 16 miles east of Ennis. Alistair Wilson, a 30-year-old banker, and his wife, Veronica Ferguson, a graphic designer, were a loving couple with 2 young sons. They had been living in the area for 18 months, having relocated for a fresh start. Alistair, known for his kind and caring nature, was preparing to leave his banking job and pursue a career in environmental consultancy. The last weekend of November 2004 was an eventful one for the Wilson family. On Saturday, November 27th, Alistair invited family and friends over to their Victorian villa for a small gathering. The couple spent the day preparing for the festive season, wrapping Christmas gifts for their children, and cleaning the house in anticipation of their visitors. The air was filled with warmth as they readied themselves for a fun evening with loved ones. The following day, Sunday, November 28th, Alistair and one of his friends went trekking in the nearby woodland with their eldest children. Meanwhile, Veronica and the other mothers took the youngest children to a soft play center. After their respective outings, both families met up for lunch, enjoying each other's company until about 3:00 p.m. when the friends left. Later, Alistair and his eldest son went to the local supermarket to buy groceries for dinner. They also took a moment to dispose of some recycling and wash the family car. That evening, the Wilsons joined Veronica's father for dinner at his flat, which was located on the upper floor of their villa. After a lovely meal together, the family returned downstairs and Alistair and Veronica prepared to put their children to bed. At this point, everything seemed perfectly normal. But little did they know, the peaceful routine would soon be disrupted by a mysterious visitor, leading to an unimaginable tragedy. The stranger that evening. As Veronica and Alistair prepared their children for bed, the doorbell rang at around 7:00 p.m. Veronica, assuming it was the parent of the toddler they were looking after, went downstairs to answer the door. Normally, the toddler's parents would knock on the back door, which was always left unlocked, so it was unusual for them to ring the front doorbell. However, Veronica thought nothing of it and went ahead to answer. When she opened the door, she was greeted not by the toddler's parent, but by a stranger. The man was described as Caucasian, around 35 to 40 years old, with a stocky build and standing between 5'6" and 5'11". He was clean-shaven, wearing dark jeans, a dark baseball cap that obscured his face, and a dark blue bomber jacket. The man barely spoke, muttering just 2 words, Alistair Wilson. Veronica assumed the man was a colleague of her husband's, so she went upstairs to fetch him. Alistair exchanged places with Veronica and continued reading to their children. Veronica didn't think anything was out of the ordinary and heard nothing from her husband until about 10 minutes later, when the front door closed. Witnesses reported seeing Alistair and the man conversing outside, but due to the poor visibility and the night setting in, they couldn't provide further details. Alistair returned upstairs and showed Veronica a blue envelope the man had handed him. The envelope had Paul written on it but was completely empty. Both Alistair and Veronica were puzzled. Alistair decided to check the front door again, suspecting something was off. What happened next would change their lives forever. The shooting. As Alistair stepped outside to investigate further, Veronica continued her routine inside. But just moments later, the calm of the evening was shattered by the sound of 3 loud bangs. Veronica's heart raced as she rushed downstairs, only to find her husband lying on the floor, blood spilling from his body. Alistair had been shot 3 times, once in the body and twice in the head. The blood loss was severe, and it was clear he was in critical condition. In a panic, Veronica quickly grabbed towels to try and stop the bleeding, while their eldest son, terrified, watched from the top of the stairs. She screamed for help and rushed out of the house, crossing the road to the Havelock Hotel, which was just across from their residence, to raise the alarm and call emergency services. As she ran, she noticed the stranger calmly walking away from their home, still holding the mysterious blue envelope. Veronica returned to Alistair's side, doing everything she could to stop the blood flow while waiting desperately for help. Her mind raced, struggling to understand what had just unfolded. Within an hour, Alistair was rushed to Rakemore Hospital in Ennis, but tragically, he succumbed to his injuries before he could be saved. The attack was swift, brutal, and left no immediate answers. The family was devastated, and the questions surrounding the motive, the mysterious man, and the envelope only deepened the mystery. The police began their investigation, but the answers seemed just out of reach. The investigation following Alistair's tragic death, the investigation into the shooting began, but answers were slow to materialize. Police launched a massive effort, questioning over 14,000 people and taking statements from more than 3,500 individuals. They combed through more than 700 pieces of evidence and thoroughly reviewed CCTV footage, but despite these extensive efforts, the investigation seemed to hit dead ends at every turn. The only lead that stood out was a mysterious blue envelope that Alistair had shown Veronica before the shooting. It was addressed to Paul, but contained no contents, a bizarre detail that police couldn't easily explain. Authorities also found a rare 1920s semi-automatic pistol near a parish church, half a mile from the Wilson residence, which was linked to the crime scene. The gun had been disposed of in a drain and was traced back to an elderly man who had recently moved to a care home. While forensic tests confirmed this was the murder weapon, there was no conclusive DNA evidence to identify the killer. As the investigation dragged on, rumors started to swirl. Some suggested that Alistair might have been involved in illicit activities, possibly related to money laundering through his work at the Bank of Scotland. Others speculated that he had been mistakenly targeted due to confusion with another man of the same name who lived nearby. But despite these theories, no evidence surfaced to support any of them. The mystery surrounding the blue envelope, the unknown motive, and the killer's identity haunted the Wilson family, leaving them with more questions than answers. Alistair's death remained an open case, with the true story behind the tragic events still waiting to be uncovered. Unanswered questions despite years of investigation, the murder of Alistair Wilson remains shrouded in mystery. Several theories have emerged, but none have been confirmed, and the motive behind the killing is still unclear. The strange blue envelope that was handed to Alistair continues to baffle investigators and the public. Why was it empty? Was it a message, a clue, or a red herring? And who was the mysterious man who approached Alistair that night? Rumors spread that Alistair might have been involved in shady dealings, or even money laundering, but the police found no evidence to support these claims. There were also suggestions that Alistair was the victim of mistaken identity. Another man with the same name lived nearby, but the police couldn't confirm this either. Even after years of reinvestigation, including new appeals from Alistair's son, Andrew, no solid evidence has come forward to shed light on the case. In 2022, a new theory emerged, linking the shooting to a dispute over decking at the Havelock Hotel, located directly across from the Wilsons' home. While this seemed like a plausible lead, it was still far from conclusive. Despite new statements coming in from the public, the killer's identity remains unknown. Alistair's family continues to seek justice and closure, holding on to the hope that new DNA technology and further investigation will eventually bring answers. As of 2024, Scotland's chief legal officer has ordered a fresh investigation into the case, offering a glimmer of hope that one day, the truth will come to light. Until then, the questions surrounding Alistair's death remain unanswered, leaving a family still searching for justice.